Caitlin Clark come out and say what needed to be said. She stood on business and said, we need to play in games. And y'all that are signed to these other leagues that are compromised, stop playing with the people who are not. Stop playing games. Let's get to it.
Caitlin Clark arrived at Team USA camp and completely dominated, catching the attention of the entire basketball world. But what no one expected happened next. Sue Bird, the legendary Hall of Fame point guard, made a shocking statement that's sending shockwaves through the league. She directly called out Kelsey Plum and exposed a major conflict of interest at the center of the current WNBA negotiations, something that could change the way everyone sees the situation. Here's a closer look at what's really going on.
In this is crazy, man. Like, you're signed to Unrivaled. You got equity in Unrivaled. Like, y'all are somewhat compromised on the situation to a degree, even if you're it's just weird, man. It's a little weird. Y'all on the board, but y'all got equity in the competitor leagues. It's all a little conflict of interest. Here it says, Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark said Friday that while WNBA players will fight for everything we deserve during their current...
This goes far beyond just basketball. When Caitlin Clark arrived at USA basketball camp in North Carolina, the atmosphere immediately changed. She wasn't there to just go through the motions. She was making a statement. As she drained threes and ran the offense with her trademark confidence, she was also doing something bold, speaking up about the future of the entire WNBA. She urged both sides in the tense contract negotiations to find common ground. Think about that. The biggest star in women's basketball, the player who drew 3.2 million viewers to WNBA broadcasts last season, publicly telling her own union to be flexible. This wasn't a casual remark, it was a clear act of leadership. On January 10th, 2025, at Duke University, Clark faced the cameras and delivered a message that was carefully calculated.
CBA through January 9th, 2026, as both sides continue to work toward a new deal. But questions persist on whether both sides will come to an agreement by then, or even whether a work stoppage could be on the horizon. Now, this is what Kelsey Plum had to say. Kelsey Plum, first vice president of the WNBA, said at Camp Friday that the talks have been a little disheartening.
Clark left no room for doubt. She made it perfectly clear that fans want basketball on the court, and reaching a meaningful deal will require real compromise from both sides. This wasn't a casual media moment with a safe answer. It was the face of the league stepping up at a pivotal time to say exactly what needed to be said. She cautioned that negotiations were entering a critical phase, which in negotiation terms means the clock is running out and the window for action is closing. What happens next could either propel the WNBA into a golden era or undo everything the league has built. But things took an explosive turn. Just hours after Clark's call for common sense and compromise, Kelsey Plum responded. And Plum isn't just any player. She's the first vice president of the WNBA Players Association.
Transforming the league's salary structure and revenue sharing system, introducing standards for team facilities and staffing, and garnering more robust benefits. The league has said it wants to substantially increase players' salary and other cost commitments, while also incentivizing owners to continue to invest in operating the business and building sustained profitability. The most recently,
Kelsey Plum is meant to represent the interests of every player in the league, but her response was strikingly blunt, uncompromising, and frankly shocking in tone. She stated that the negotiations have been extremely frustrating and that the two sides are still far from any agreement. There was no gesture of goodwill, no recognition of Clark's concerns, just a clear message that the union is digging in and preparing for a fight. Now, here's the part that should make everyone paying attention take notice. Sue Bird, who understands this league better than almost anyone, revealed something that's been hiding in plain sight. Kelsey Plum isn't just a union leader advocating for players. She's also a co-founder of Unrivaled, the brand new 3-on-3 league launching in Miami. And this isn't a minor side project or a small investment. Plum owns substantial equity in Unrivaled, signed a multi-million-dollar contract with the league, and holds a seat on its board.
That line should have said, they are looking to capitalize off of Caitlin Clark, because if there was no Caitlin Clark in this league, they would have already agreed on a deal. Trust and believe, they wouldn't be doing all this hard negotiating and this and that if there was no Caitlin Clark that came in this league and brought the numbers, brought the viewership, brought everything. Simple as that. Simple as that. Here it says, what I'm proud of is that we play with a group of women that are united and we're standing on something, Plum said. Chicago Sky All-Star Angel Reese echoed that sentiment. I think everybody's really intentional about what we want. I think the players and
Sue Bird didn't hold back. She laid it all out for everyone to see. How can anyone negotiate in good faith for the WNBA when they have significant investments in a competing league that benefits if the talks fail? Consider what happens if the WNBA season gets canceled. Players need somewhere to play, they need to earn money, and they need to stay visible to sponsors and fans. Sitting perfectly positioned to take advantage of that chaos is Unrivaled. This isn't accidental, it's leverage. Sue Bird correctly pointed out that this creates a huge conflict of interest. Plum is representing dozens of WNBA players in some of the most crucial negotiations in league history, yet she stands to gain financially if those talks collapse. The worse things get for the WNBA, the better it could be for Unrivaled. That's a perverse incentive, plain and simple. And Plum isn't the only one in this situation. Breanna Stewart, the union's treasurer, is also involved.
This basketball sensation has called this the biggest moment the WNBA has seen, making it all the more important that we find a way to play this next season. A work stoppage could emerge if the owners opt to lock out the players or the players opt to strike. I think there are different things that we can find ways to say no. We certainly deserve that, and we're not going to compromise on that. And there are other things we can probably compromise on. You want to understand both sides and be respectful of both sides, but at the end of the day, come to a compromise. Caitlin Clark.
Breanna Stewart, who is actively shaping the union's negotiation strategy, is also a co-founder of Unrivaled and holds significant equity. Nfisa Collier occupies the same dual role. These aren't minor players. They're central figures deciding how aggressive the union should be in these talks. All three have major financial stakes in what is essentially a direct competitor to the WNBA. When Sue Bird pointed this out, she wasn't speculating or throwing shade. She was exposing a fundamental flaw in how these negotiations are being handled. Now compare that to Clark's position, and you can see why her perspective is so different. Clark has no ownership stake in Unrivaled. She's not contracted to Athletes Unlimited or any other alternative league. Her entire earning potential, visibility, and long-term brand value depend almost entirely on the WNBA's continued growth and success. If the WNBA doesn't play in 2025, Clark has no financial safety net. She loses a full season during her prime earning years, which can't be regained. There's no backup league offering guaranteed money or national TV exposure. That's why her stance isn't about leverage or personal gain. It's about protecting the league itself. Caitlin Clark has stepped into an unexpected leadership role at a critical moment for the WNBA, urging both sides in tense contract negotiations to compromise and protect the league's historic momentum. While the league has offered dramatic salary increases, up to $1 million for top players with revenue-sharing incentives, the union, led by Kelsey Plum and others with financial stakes in a rival league, is digging in on demands, refusing to trade existing benefits for higher pay. Sue Bird exposed this clear conflict of interest, showing that some union leaders could profit if negotiations collapse. Clark, by contrast, has no alternative league or financial safety net. Her entire future depends on the WNBA thriving. With fan engagement, TV ratings, and sponsorships surging thanks largely to her impact, canceling the 2025 season could erase a once-in-a-generation opportunity. The next few weeks will determine whether the league seizes this moment to grow or risks a catastrophic showdown that could derail everything, and Clark is publicly fighting to keep the WNBA on the court while others brace for conflict.